Here we go. Welcome back to another episode of The Sideline, everybody. My name is Rishi Oza,
My name's Asher Hire.
and we are back. It's been about,
We are
I think, a
back.
month-ish. It's been a bit,
Yep.
but we both got busy. The Nuggets
Yep.
also got busy. A lot of things to talk about right now. We were recording this the night before. This episode's going to come out Saturday. Recording it the night before, right after the Nuggets came back, beat the Grizzlies down 15 in the third or second quarter. Came back, big time win, huge win. David Adelman second after the firing of Michael Malone. First off, what was your like when you saw Malone's gone? What was just? I mean,
Dude.
because it woke me up. Like I was like groggy in and out of sleep. And I
Yeah.
saw a text from my brother, and he was like, "Oh my God, Malone's gone." I was like, huh?
No way, right. I know.
Yeah,
I was at work with like a couple of my coworkers. We're all sports fans, obviously. I think I was the only one from Denver at that point, but yeah, I saw I was on my phone and I saw the notification pop up, like the tweet notification from Shams pop up that Malone was being fired, and like at first, like I even though I got the notification, I was still like, is this a fake tweet? You know what I mean? Like, but I obviously don't have any of like their notifications on, but just the way it was worded, like breaking all caps, Malone is fired with 3 games to go. Obviously, we like that Taylor Jenkins firing just a couple weeks ago was like pretty much unheard of, firing a coach, you know, of a team with like theoretical great aspirations to fire their head coach with like 2 weeks left in the regular season was crazy. And now here's the Nuggets one up in that. So at first it was shock. I couldn't really believe it. But then when I realized it was real, like honestly, the first real emotion I had was like sadness. Like I mean, it's just he's been the coach ever since I started like locking in on basketball in the NBA. And he's just been a staple for the Nuggets. Um, and just like such a great I feel like leader for for a young basketball team that was coming up, and he had this like mentality of him where he would lead these guys through anything, and they always had this fight about them, obviously coming back 3-1 twice in a playoff series, and just you know other playoff series where they came back with the Spurs series. They could just never be counted out, I feel like, with Malone. But I felt that way up until really last year, this year especially, but last year I had the same feeling where it's like they just don't have the same like fight, I feel like, that they used to at the end of games. Like they don't make these comebacks anymore. Obviously they were like the best clutch team of all time really for like a couple years straight there. And then it kind of fell off last year, and then especially this year with the lackluster defense down the stretch. It really did feel like something shifted compared to the previous 8 years that we have known Malone and this team for. But so yeah, really just sadness. But we'll obviously get more into it. But I understand it at the end of the day. But what
yeah.
about
No,
what about you?
It was. Yeah. I mean, at first I just didn't understand it because I woke up after that had broken. I also woke up after Booth was fired too. So the fact that both of them were gone gave me a little more. I didn't have one after the other. So it gave me more perspective at the time of kind of what the deal was. But man, I was like, yeah, I was the same thing. It was this sadness. I was like, dang, this is the guy who, like you said, I've been watching the Nuggets religiously, I guess, since 2016, 2017 season. That was Malone's second year, like as head coach. So I've been watching for the last 9 seasons where he has been the guy and he's been the voice of the Nuggets, right? Like that Tim Conley was never the voice. Jokic has never been loud about it. Like, Michael Malone was the voice and the face of the Nuggets when it came to the public eye. So for him to be gone like that was insane. I thought I still think honestly that he deserved to have a final run at least. Like just go out in the playoffs. I mean, he's the winningest coach in franchise history. He is the guy who led you. He has the most playoff wins, most playoff series wins. He has the only title, and he's the guy who built the culture from the ground up. Really, I mean, it was him, Jokic, and Jamal Murray. They're the only guys here from those days.
Yeah,
And yeah, I was just sad for him. For Calvin Booth, I understood. Like it made sense. I thought that was going to happen regardless. I didn't think he was coming back. So that one was expected. Malone's was like, dang, I thought they would give him a playoff run to figure it out. But yeah, I mean the beef, all the articles that have been coming out where it's just like they hated each other, man.
I
Like they
know.
did not get
I
along.
know.
They could not agree on any simple thing about how to run a team. And it makes sense. I mean, it was clearly affecting the team. Like they literally they weren't listening to how Malone was coaching them anymore. And that I mean that's an issue. Tim Legler said it best where it's like if you have to coach motivation, that shouldn't happen. Like you have
Yeah,
to go.
you've
Like that's
lost it.
you've lost it. And that's exactly what he had to do. The team they didn't care. Like there were games where they didn't care. There were games where they were out of it from the get-go. Um, the Pacers game was one of them. It looked like they didn't care on the defensive end. That Portland game is the one where it really hit me, even though there was no Jokic. They didn't care at all. Like that game, there's no effort. There's no fight or anything. And it just seems. I mean, 10 years is a long time for one voice to be there. It's a
Yeah,
long, long time. So I understand it. It makes a lot of sense. It just sucks that it had. It really sucks that it had to happen that way. It's a very bittersweet feeling because I think Adelman, through these first couple games, you've seen like they're fighting. Like they have effort. Like I don't think Denver wins this game if Malone is coaching tonight. Honestly, like it felt like a vintage Nuggets win where they're down, and they clamp up. Memphis didn't make a field goal the last 7 minutes of the game.
I know
They clamp
that
up defensively and get it.
fast.
Like that hasn't happened this season, like at all. I have not seen that this season. So it's weird, man. It's a weird feeling.
Dude, that's a great point. I mean, that's really what I was like talking about is just that feeling of them like fighting, and coming back in games and stuff like that. Like that really didn't happen this year, or really the past 2 years, until now. And yeah, like going back to your point, I do think Malone deserved obviously a way better, a more like ceremonious exit rather than just getting let go all of a sudden 3 games left in the season. But do you think if the Nuggets go in to the playoffs and they're playing like Minnesota first round and they just lose to Minnesota in the first round, Malone's probably fired in the offseason, right? Like
Yeah.
that's probably what the Cronkies were thinking. That's honestly what a lot of Nuggets fans are thinking is that this team is just in and of itself just not good enough uh, to win a championship. And it does seem like that beef between Malone and Booth that, you know, it had run its course. So, I mean, if it was going to happen in the offseason anyways, I do kind of agree with the idea of trying to spark the team. I don't know if sparking the team with an assistant coach that's been there the whole year like works. But I mean, the past couple of games, it's looked good so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately, yeah, I do wish that he got more of like
Yeah.
a goodbye. But
hmm
it is what it is, and
And
uh,
he's gonna get another head coach because I don't think like here's the thing that I've been thinking of like his coaching, like his schemes, his rotations, the way that he coached the players. I don't think that was ever the issue. I just think the way it got stale. Like they just needed something different in the locker room. This team is not a young team that needs to be pushed and pushed hard every single game, and like they
yeah,
need to be like the rage timeouts and yelling in the huddle and calling them out publicly and everything like that. That's not this team anymore, man. Jokic is 30, Jamal Murray's 28. Like these are old guys. Aaron Gordon's 30, right? Like these are old, not old, but they're vets. Like they know the deal at this point. That's what David Adelman said after the Sacramento game. It's like you guys don't always need us. Like
yeah,
you can communicate these things by yourself at this point. And honestly, I don't know if Malone had ever said that. Like it seemed like he was taking a lot of the brunt on him to be like, I have to fix this. I have to fix this. I have to fix this. And he's a stubborn guy. Like that's just who he is. And I that's just it's just the way that he's wired. A New York, a guy from New York, a old guy from New York. This is how he's gonna be. And yeah, I mean, like you said, finding a spark. I do think he was gonna get fired at the end of the year if they lost in the playoffs. Honestly, and I look at everyone. They've been spreading this quote around. It showed up on DNVR first, but people have been spreading it around. It's from a former Florida athletic director. I don't remember his name, but he was saying, you know, if it's inevitable, do it immediately. So if Malone's firing was going to happen at some point, if it was going to happen regardless of what you were thinking of in the offseason, it just do it now, right? And at this point, you can get a good look at David Adelman in a playoff series at the helm. You get a head start on your coaching search immediately, and quite honestly, I'm sure the Kroenkes would love to keep Adelman because he's going to be the cheapest option available. You don't have to pay top dollar for a veteran head coach. We obviously know how much finances mean to the Kroenkes, so it'll be interesting, man. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the playoffs, and I do want to get into that because we have one game left in the regular season, which is crazy, but one
Yep.
game left in the regular season, and the playoff seedings. There's two options for Denver, right? If they win against Houston, which they should, right? They should win against Houston. I don't think Houston's going to play any of their guys. It'd be stupid for them to do that. Maybe they play them like the first half or something because it's a home game. Maybe they play them a little bit and then that's it. But they should win. Denver should win that game pretty easily. Minnesota is playing Utah. They should win that game pretty easily. If Denver and Minnesota both win, there are two scenarios. If the Clippers win against the Warriors, Denver's playing the Clippers. If the Warriors win against the Clippers, Denver's playing Minnesota.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's Clippers or Minnesota, and those are the two options. And I'm going to be honest, I don't feel great about either of those two options.
Either, right? Yeah. I don't feel good about either of them too. I mean, both like the Clippers just got scores at the perimeter, which the Nuggets have struggled at defending the entire year. They got Zubac, who's a great screener, who the Nuggets perimeter defenders are not good at getting around. Um, Man, that's pretty scary.
It's a
I didn't
scary
even.
scenario, man, and
Yeah,
especially because the Clippers are the hottest team in the league right now. I mean, they are
they just
mowing through
won.
teams. So they just won today against Sacramento on the road, and against since the All Star break, which is it's more than 20 games, so it's almost like a fourth of the year. It's a large sample size. They are the number one defense and the number two offense. Like that's
Yeah,
scary for a team to be coming into the playoffs at that high of form.
yeah,
And we obviously know what Kawhi Leonard can do in the playoffs when he's healthy. This seems like a different version of James Harden than what we have seen in the past. It seems like he is way more locked in than what he normally is. He's much more consistent. His playmaking is still at a very high level. Zubats has been incredible. I mean, he had a triple double the other night. He had another double double today. And Norman Powell has given the Nuggets fits all season long. They have guys like Derek Jones and Chris Dunn, elite perimeter defenders. So like that's a matchup that I don't like. Obviously, I like it more than Minnesota, just strictly from a mental aspect. But it's a tough that's a tough one to think about and be like, yeah, I think Denver easily handles it. Because there are matchups I think they do. Like Golden State and
yeah,
Memphis, like I think they handle those two easily. But the Clippers they're the second worst after Minnesota.
yeah, for sure. I will say though, this two-man game that I saw tonight gives me a lot of confidence about the Nuggets just down the stretch. Like it, anything can be going on in the world. I feel like coaches being fired left and right, but as long as you got Murray and Jokic at the end of the game, it just looks this. It's just the same thing every single game, and it's perfection. And just them two being back and Murray, like I was concerned about how he would look after Malone's quote about like, oh, it's gone from a day-to-day injury to now it's not day-to-day, and like he like now we're wondering if he'll even be there for the start of the playoffs. I was like, man, no way. Like if he's really saying this, probably Murray's just it's just gonna be the same Murray as last year in the playoffs. But you know, overall looking at his stat line, not great. But that fourth quarter, I know he only had 6 points, but those were some huge shots. Each one of those shots were tough, clutch makes, and him not looking, still looking spry and bouncy. He looked better in that game than he did towards the end of last year for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I also think Aaron Gordon is looking the healthiest he's looked since the beginning of the year. 8 dunks tonight, a career high.
Hmm.
After there were, some games where it looked like that athleticism was, fading on him. But now he looks like he's back to being healthy. It's interesting how I like the more he looks healthy, the worse his shot is getting. It's weird. I wonder if because he has more bounce in his legs, like does that make his shot worse? I don't know.
I have no because it looked like his hitch came back a little bit in this game, like from the corners. It was like,
Yeah.
ugh. It definitely
Yeah.
looked worse.
Yeah. But I still think overall it's a positive sign that I think he is looking healthy. Um, there's potential, I think, for this team. I think still at its highest of highs, it can compete with anyone. But
Hmm.
um, overall, I like Westbrook is such a polarizing player, bro. I don't know what to think about him going into the playoffs because I do feel like he's like an X factor. Like if he's playing well coming off the bench, or playing with Jokic during the second half of the first quarter when Murray leaves, same thing in the third quarter. Like that lineup when it's Murray out, Westbrook in, and then all the rest of the starters, it's still a very productive lineup. So I mean, like they can spell that, but obviously it's about when Jokic is off the court. What is
Yeah.
Westbrook doing? I don't know. What do you think about
It's very
Westbrook, bro?
interesting,
Like,
man. I mean, it's hard. I think what David Adelman said, he said it best. Like he's gonna close and he's gonna play the five best players on the floor, and that's what he did today. He closed with Russell Westbrook because he was great today. He was awesome
yeah,
on both ends. He didn't normally. Russ will have these defensive lapses where he just will forget that he's playing defense off the ball, and his guy will get wide open. Today was Michael Porter Jr. who was doing that. MPJ lost Luke Kennard, Desmond Bain, Scottie Pippen Jr. Two or three times each, and it led to them generating a bunch of easy threes in the first half. Russell Westbrook was great, and he closed, and rightfully so. But against Sacramento, I mean, Russell Westbrook was bad, like straight up, he was not good, and they closed with Jalen Pickett, and Jalen Pickett was awesome. So like, it's
yeah.
it's just you do. He's Adelman has to read the game and really understand who is the hot hand because I do think Russell Westbrook has to play. He's been too good throughout this season for you
That
not
right.
to play
That's
him in
the
the
thing.
playoffs.
It's like there's all this noise right now with the Malone firing and Westbrook's game on national TV where he just completely messed up the game, unlike anything I've ever seen before, really. But like all that kind of was like a perfect storm of just like making Westbrook look really bad and all these quotes and stuff. But like overall, the season and before that, and then the game after that, I thought against the Pacers he was pretty good too.
Yeah,
Um, like yeah, I still think he's deserving of a rotation spot in the playoffs.
absolutely. And I tweeted it out. Like, if Denver's going to do anything in the playoffs, Russell Westbrook has to be good. Like, he has to be how he was today. He has to be able to close a game out. He has to be able to hit threes and make defenses respect him. And he's got to be able to drive and make good decisions at the rim. I thought in the first half it was rough. He was driving in with no real plan, uh,
Yeah,
but he was finishing at the rim in the second half. He was dishing out in the second half. He was running actual pick and rolls with Jokic in the second half, and it was working. My thing with Russ is that I think you in the playoffs specifically, I think you got to handcuff him to Jokic a little bit. Um, maybe 1 or 2 minutes here and there without him. Um, but I don't, and I really don't like the idea of him playing with Murray without Jokic. The
yeah,
lineup
no,
that they
for
had on the
sure.
bench in the first half, where it was Murray, Westbrook, Watson, MPJ, or Watson, Gordon, and Jordan, or it was MPJ and Jordan. I think that's the playoff rotation you're going to see. Jalen Pickett played a little bit there in the first half. He didn't get in the second half, uh, which I don't necessarily think was his fault. I thought it was fine. It's just they needed energy, but it's just I don't like that lineup very much. I don't like Russ and Jamal on the court together at the same time all that
I don't
much.
either. I don't either.
I hate Pickett and Westbrook on the court together even more.
Yeah.
'Cause it
Yeah.
makes both of them useless. Like, and it's just hard, man. It's a very hard. I mean, that's the issue that you get with changing a head coach of a team with 3 games to go. You do not have time to figure it out. You got to roll with something and hope it works because there's no time for you to you're playing with these things in these last 3 games, but you don't have room for error because you have to go 3-0,
I
otherwise
know.
you're in the play-in. So it is like it's very interesting. My guess is game one. Uh, Pickett is going to be the kind of guy where it's like, if he's good, he'll play. If he's not doing much, he's not going to play in the second half. Very much like how Peyton Watson was last year.
Yeah.
But I just, man, I don't know. Because if Russell Westbrook is really bad in one game, you put Jalen Pickett in and Pickett's good, is Russ going to play the next game? Like you don't know.
Right.
And it's
Right.
crazy we have to talk about a 17-year vet like that, but it's just who he is, and we knew that we knew when they signed him, like this was gonna happen.
Yeah.
But
At
it's just
least there's
crazy, man.
options. Like, it's
Yeah,
not great. It's not great options, but at least you do have if someone is riding a hot hand, you can play him. So I mean, like the roster, there's a lot of guys obviously that are still on that championship team, and I do think they did underperform. Like, there are criticisms about Booth, rightfully so, about the team put together, in Jokic's prime, and he's playing the best basketball of his career, which is just ridiculous. And like, you just sit there, do nothing at the deadline, and the trade of Reggie Jackson in the offseason kind of handcuffed you a little bit at the deadline with some ammo that you could have used. But ultimately, the team I do think is more talented than this record says. And I know like they have been injured here and there with Murray and Gordon and Jokic sometimes, but um, like dude, when you look at it, it's like the starting five is great. Westbrook has been a decent backup point guard. Peyton Watson, I feel like any team would take him off the bench. A great defensive wing who is like a 38% three-point shooter. Um, that's a pretty good player. And then you got DeAndre Jordan who hasn't been playing terribly. And the option of Jalen Pickett and Strother, we'll see. I don't even know. Maybe Strother's completely fallen out, but yeah, I do still think there is enough talent there to at least
there
make
is.
a slight run.
My only issue is just the defense, and they have been
Yeah,
better. Memphis is an elite offense. Like they holding them. What were they? 108, 109 today.
yeah,
109. Like that's a solid defensive performance against Memphis. I know they're coming off a back-to-back, um, but like they were scorching in the first half. So to be able to cut that off is very, very impressive. Um, and it's just like you need Christian Brown and Aaron Gordon to be better defensively in the playoffs than they have been in the regular season. Maybe they've been holding back a little bit. I don't think Brown's the type of guy to hold back though. I think he goes 100% every game.
yeah,
Gordon, I could see it, but he's been like bad on defense this year. Part of it is the health, and so I don't know, man. This the defense, like they're just. Oh, but the other thing is a lot of it is like fundamental things that we have seen cleaned up over the last 2 games at least, right?
yep,
It's communication on switches. It's defensive 52 rebounds today. Like that's a big number. Defensive rebounding, communicating on switches, not making sure that you're hedging out properly, you're switching properly on ball screens, and they've executed the defensive scheme better this season than they have, or better in the last few games they have all year.
yeah,
So it is if they can have this level of attention to detail, this level of effort and intensity on the defensive end in the playoffs, they're gonna win at least one round. Like that is 100% possible because again, like you said, you have Jokic and Murray, you're gonna win. Like I have the utmost confidence when those two are healthy that they're gonna win. And even last year they should have won even when they weren't healthy. Neither of them were healthy, and that they
yeah,
were up 20 in Game 7. Like they they
yeah,
should they should
yeah,
have been in the finals again last season. So it is they have all the talent to make a run, and it just depends on being able to put it together. So and I have never been more confident in a player than I am in Jokic. Like it is the way that I'm with Jokic. It's like prime LeBron. and then Jokic in terms of I know you're gonna perform and you are
Yeah.
not gonna be the reason that we lose. So I know what you're gonna get from him. I'm relatively confident you know what you're gonna get from Jamal Murray, and I know what you're gonna get from Aaron Gordon. Honestly, at this point,
Yeah.
but I'm worried. I'm honestly. This might be a kind of a hot take. I'm more worried about what you're going to get from Michael Porter Jr. than Russell Westbrook because the way MPJ has been since the All Star break is like
It's
actually concerning.
concerning. It is. It really is. Like it feels like there's gonna be nights in the playoffs where he's literally just shut down for like 5 points.
Like tonight,
And
like tonight.
yeah, yeah. And it's gonna be like feeling like we need some big shot and he's just not gonna be that. I don't know, dude. He had that 3 game stretch where he looked like the greatest player of all. He put up more than 100 points in 3 games, those 2 Pelican games, and since then, it's been like he got like a little injured, right? There was something that happened and
The
he was out.
hamstring.
Yeah, and he was out, and then since then, dude, it's been so bad. It's ugly. Um, I Yeah, I don't know. I kind of agree with that too, that like it- with Westbrook, you know you're gonna get some good and some bad. With Porter, it could literally pretty much be like all
Oh,
bad.
yeah,
I don't
it could be, man. And I think Denver's gonna have to make some really tough decisions in the offseason, and we'll make that video when that time comes. But I think regardless, they win, they make a deep run or not. I think Michael Porter Jr. is probably gone in the offseason, which really does suck. But he has not played up to his contract since he signed it. I thought last year was very good, and I thought in the playoffs against the Lakers he was awesome.
yeah,
But you saw him against physical defense. You see him when he's not getting open looks. How it turns out, and this
yeah,
season has been a lot. It's very very similar. When teams press up against him and play him physical, he struggles to get his own shot. I mean today I thought he was all right on defense on the ball at least, and he had I think he had 12 rebounds or something. Um, check what the official stat was. Yeah, I mean 12 rebounds. Like he was solid. Like he wasn't all bad. But I mean I feel like there's gonna be games like that. The Indiana game, right? Denver was like right there, right there. You just needed a couple big shots from some of your other guys, and Porter just could not hit them. And it's like you need to hit those shots in the playoffs, and he did it against the Lakers. He didn't any against Minnesota. So it's just like you don't know. You really have no idea if you're going to get a good game or a bad game. So like if he's consistent, and the crazy part is like if he's just 17 to 18 points a game on 40% from 3, I think Denver is going to be rolling. But if he's like last year against Minnesota where he's like 16% from 3, 9 points a game getting fried on defense, like dude, you can't play. It's not let alone like be someone you rely on. Like he can't play. And
I
that
know.
is just
Uh,
that is concerning, man. That's really, really concerning.
it's so tough looking at just like Zach Levine just nail shot after shot after shot and be like, bro, if he was on this team with Jokic and he was just making every shot, like they would be so good, especially down the in the clutch when they haven't been good recently. Even offensively sometimes. Uh, so I mean, yeah, I agree. I do think he needs to go. I did think at the trade deadline that I felt like a trade for Zach Levine would have been big time. But probably really wasn't realistic to be honest. Like that's the other thing. I do feel like Booth was handcuffed a lot during his tenure here, just with the
It,
CBA.
it
He's been dealt the hardest job in NBA history. Like,
he did, yeah. Like he got
but
screwed. I mean, Denver won the championship and then immediately it became impossible for teams like Denver to win. Like
yeah,
it was really hard. And I think the other thing was like it seemed, at least from the reports that have been coming out, it seemed like the Cronkies had a decent hand in a lot of the decision making that Booth was making. So like he wanted to trade Jamal Murray in the offseason, but
yeah,
the Cronkies shut it down. I'm sure he's been wanting to trade Michael Porter Jr. for a while, but the Cronkies shut that down too. I wasn't. I will admit I was not a fan of trading for Zach Levine at the deadline. I didn't think it would bring anything that Denver didn't already have, but I was very clearly wrong. That definitely would have helped Denver. Um, because my thought process is Denver needs defense. They don't need more offense. They're fine on offense. You trade for a defender, don't trade for anything at all. I assume that's very similar thinking to what the front office was. But man, watching Zach LaVine in Sacramento right now is like, whew, golly,
Uh,
like the moves that he was making against Aaron Gordon on Wednesday. Oh my god, the step backs, the amount of
I
separation he was
know.
creating,
I know.
Jesus, like it that helped. That's gonna help in a playoff series, man, for sure. So I think you can explore the idea of going after him in the offseason. Honestly, I think that is possible depending on what happens with Sacramento. That's a trade I would be willing to make. I think number one option should be Kevin Durant, if I'm being quite honest. But I'm sure he has his own places that he wants to go. I'm sure Minnesota's high on his list. I'm sure a lot of other places are high on his list outside of Denver.
But
But
why
Zach LaVine
isn't
wouldn't be a
Denver
bad option.
high on these people's list? I never understand it, bro.
I think for Durant, it could be because him and Peyton Watson are pretty close. Like they're very, very close. There's at least some personal relationship there. If Westbrook stays, that's another personal relationship. They're still friends. And he's been every time he talks about Jokic, he loves him. He loves Nikola Jokic. So
I
there is
know.
a chance. Other stars, I don't know because I feel like it's the easiest job in the world to play alongside him if you try on defense. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I this is the weirdest feeling I've ever had for the playoffs, though, because when like last year I was excited. I was like, man, I get to see a repeat run. Like I get to see them go for a repeat. How is that going to
Yeah.
work? When they won the championship, I was nervous because I was like, I don't know what we're gonna see. Like I don't. This is the first time we've seen this lineup in the playoffs. Like what is it gonna look like? Uh, the 2 years before that, I was just like, just try hard, kind of. I guess. Like I don't I don't know. Now I'm like I have no idea what to feel. I don't know. I'm not
You're
excited.
right, actually. There's no and I don't really feel like the pressure totally of like, all right, they have to win a championship. Like, if they hadn't won a championship yet, I would definitely be
Yeah.
feeling like some pressure, like, oh my God, like all this chaos and stuff. Thank God we won that championship, bro. Because you're right. I don't know what to feel. I'm not like nervous really because my
No.
expectations are low. So I guess I'm just not yeah, it's weird. I guess I'm back to like maybe the bubble, but the bubble there was still like expectations of like, ooh, I want to see this young team like win a series here and
Yeah.
look good. I don't, and I thought that they had the talent to make the almost the finals run then too, but so maybe it's even feeling like the 20 like 18 I don't even fucking know. I was
But no,
still
but even
nervous
that
back then
season,
though.
it was like, dang, they just made the playoffs. Like I'm excited to see how it goes. Like
Yeah,
I think they can just
exactly.
like excitement. Now it's like I'm not excited. I don't want to see what happens, but like
Yeah.
I'm worried. Like I am nervous, but at the same time, it's like every time I think about it, it's like, dude, we got Nikola Jokic. Like I shouldn't be nervous because we have him. Like they're gonna win a playoff round if there's a healthy team around him.
Yeah,
This
if there's a right, because that was my thinking back when there was an unhealthy team. I was like, man, we have Jokic. He's like Mahomes. I feel like he can just win any game. But it showed me that like, no, you actually do need a team. Like,
you do. But
yeah,
man, it's just tough. It's a
I
weird
know.
feeling. It's one that Nugget. This is the first time in Nuggets history this has like ever happened. We're like first time we've ever had the best player in the world. First time we've been legit championship contenders. I mean, yeah, they made the finals in the ABA and they had a couple runs with the Alex English years in the '80s and the one with Melo, but never to this degree. Never to the level where you're expected to win. And now with your head coach gone, the greatest head coach in Nuggets history gone. A lot of uncertainty in the air. The GM gone. You don't know what's happening in the front office. Ownership is taking a huge role going forward. You don't know what's going to happen, and it's just like that's an incredibly weird position to be in. Certainly for the players, but also like of course for the players, but also as fans. I will say it was interesting. I don't want to make this episode too long, but I will say it was very interesting how the players reacted to Malone going because um, there was an article. ESPN had an article out this morning that I read where it was like one team source who was like close to the situation, they were like, it's disrespectful. Like he deserved to go out better than that. Kind of how we were feeling as well. But I don't. Obviously, we're not in the locker room. We're not meeting, talking to these players directly, doing anything. It doesn't seem like they're entirely depressed that
I
Malone's
know.
gone.
I know.
Like if this was the wrong decision, if the Cronkies truly, truly overreacted, like I thought they did, I think this team would have crumbled. Like I think they would have lost the sack game. They would have gotten killed in this game. Like I think they would have crumbled. So it is. I think they made the right choice doing it that early,
Yeah.
and maybe it might might not lead to a championship. It probably won't lead to a championship, but at least the way that the players feel, the way that they're acting, the way that they're talking in their press conferences, it feels like there might have been like a relief or like a weight lifted off their shoulders because this dampening cloud of Malone and Booth just bickering all the time is gone. Which is crazy. I never thought that it was ever going to get to that point. Never, like never.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Um, I was wondering if the players like would be like, after a win, would they be like, "Oh, this was for Malone, this was for coach or
Yeah.
something like that?" I was wondering if Jamal would say that like after the game because obviously I think he and Malone had the best relationship out of everybody.
Mhm.
But Murray didn't, he didn't bring it up at all. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I feel like you're right actually that it's crazy how just like bad toxic culture like that like seeps into how a team's playing on the court. I went to the Pacers game, so the very last game before, in the Malone tenure. And I was telling who I went with, I was like, this team would not lose. Like from
Yeah.
2018 to 2021, when they were healthy, and then during the championship year, whenever they've been healthy, they just don't lose these games at home to an Eastern Conference team. Um, and the way that they choke down the stretch like that with Christian Brown running into Jokic and Jokic throwing the backcourt pass, like it's stuff that you literally had never seen before in the 10 years of him being here. And for me to just like, I feel like everybody in the arena kind of felt the same thing. It's like, man, we are just not used to losing a game like this. Like we should have won this game. And when you feel like that, I feel like it's just, man, it's kind of over, for
Yeah.
that team. So I do think it was the correct move, I guess.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, yeah, Jokic said like, yeah, I knew before everyone, but it wasn't a discussion. It was a decision. They
Yeah,
told me, and I accepted it. And it's like, dang, like that's the fact. I mean, and I'm sure he had accepted it. All these reports. Here's the thing, I don't trust any of these reports to say anything about Jokic, unless it's like team sources saying it. But if it's like ESPN where they're like, "Hey man, he's kind of feeling disgruntled a little bit," no, you don't know if
yeah,
he's feeling that or not. But if it's like team sources have said Jokic's patience was wearing thin, or he was, growing increasingly frustrated about stuff, then it's like, okay, that makes sense. But if ESPN is like, "Man, he looks sad,"
I know, I
no.
know. I hate when they
But
say
like
like
it,
he looked all this. Yeah,
yeah. So it is man, like it's weird, dude. It's a weird feeling. I honestly have no idea how to feel. Um, I'll ask you this. I'll ask you this last question, or last two questions. For them to win a championship, for everything to go right, what's the key? Like what do they have to do for them to win a championship?
well, they've got the worst defense out of any team coming into the playoffs. So I think if they were to win a championship, they have to be at least a top 7, 6 playoff defense. Can they really? It's just it's a new coach. I know this, and they look great against Memphis down the clutch. Something we hadn't seen this year, but we did see in the championship year. Um, can they really just turn it around? Can they lock in can they like be the embodiment of a championship game? Like when they won the championship, they wouldn't really play defense for 3 quarters, and then they would lock in and play defense. You know, this is like 3 quarters of the season through, if you're counting the playoffs. Can they just lock in for this last 5 minute stretch of the season? I don't know. I mean, it's the same starting five. So really they can. But that's definitely the key, I feel like, is their fourth quarter defense. Can they get stops? Because obviously they're going to be able to score with Jokic and Murray in the two-man game. The difference this year has just been not being able to get stops. So that's the key, is like clutch defense.
Yeah, I think Bill Simmons said it a couple weeks ago, and I've used this phrase so much since then. We always talk about situational defense, or it's like when you need a stop, you can get a stop, right? And I think Denver can do. I think this year they have shown, even like time. It's been spaced out more than it should have been, but they can get stops when they have to get stops. When they really clamp down, they can do it. But they can't get stops when they don't need them, right? So even in this game, right, to start the game, Memphis
Right.
35 points in the first quarter. Like you don't need to hold them under 30 in the first quarter. Like you can come back as they did, but they didn't. They can't. They like their defense is their casual defense. Like they're just when they're not 100% locked in and trying and going full tilt, that level of defense is bad. Like they can't.
Yeah.
They people can score so easily, and
Right.
that's the biggest concern. They can't get stops when they don't need them. So if they can get to the level that they were at the championship season, where it's just like average defense, like throughout
Yeah.
the game, like you're in touch. You're in touch with the team the entire time because of the defense. Then I think they can win. And the last question: if they don't hire David Adelman, who's the coach that you're
Mm.
looking at? So I'm sure there's names in your mind. I have names in my mind, but if they don't hire David Adelman, if he team decides he doesn't want to go, he gets a monster offer from someone else. Who's the guy you're eyeing?
Let me hear yours first, and then I might have some ideas to bounce off of that because I honestly haven't thought much about that. I've let it like soak in first before thinking of who I want. But I mean, there's a couple names out there, but who are you thinking?
Mine, my top one automatically is Frank Vogel. Um, he's going to be a little expensive, but I think I don't think he's as. I mean, he's a fiery guy. He's a guy who'll get up in you, but he's not to that level that Malone was. He's not as fired up, and he's not gonna call guys out publicly and do all this about effort and all that. But I think he's a very good defensive coach. I really do. And he had the Suns last year looking like a competent defense. Like they were a top 15 defense last year under Frank Vogel. The Lakers, when he was there, they were always a very good defense. Granted, they had Anthony Davis and incredible roster construction, but they were a great defense. And the Pacers also great defense under him. He's the guy who I'm looking at. He's my main one because I don't think there's other coaches out there, because I'm sure Coach, Bud's probably going to get fired. Um, I don't know what's going to happen with Doc Rivers, but as another experienced coach, I don't know what's going to happen with him. Um, in terms of other assistants around the league, I'm not as tapped in with them, and I don't think you can't have a first time head coach who's unfamiliar with the situation with this team. Adelman's the only guy who I'd be willing to do that with. You need a vet. You need a guy who knows what he's doing. So Vogel's my choice.
I like that. Yeah. Um, I feel like you're right. He was actually like not as bad as it seems with the Suns.
No,
And I do agree that they need a veteran. Um, they need someone who's experienced. I feel like, you said that MPJ is going to be off the roster, in the off season maybe. If he is off the roster, I feel like it would be for another like superstar. Um, Potentially is who they would hope to bring in. And like if that's the case, then having another coach who's had experience and stuff, I feel like it's good to deal with that type of talent and personalities in the room. Um, yeah, I don't know if it's so I have no idea where the Cronkies would be looking. Obviously, they went after Malone, fired coach, and NBA coach. I don't know
Mm,
how that whole search went. Like, did they look at the college level at that point? Would they consider the
yeah,
college level? Um, yeah, I have no idea what they're thinking, honestly.
yeah. No,
Um,
I don't know. It's definitely interesting. It really sucks. I mean, they missed out on Jordi Fernandez by a year.
yeah,
Missed out on Jordi, and Jordi. I think Jordi Fernandez is an incredible coach. I mean, Brooklyn, like they were too good. They had to trade away like all their good players
I
because
know,
they were winning
I know.
too much. Jordi's a good coach. So I would have loved Jordy to come back. He would have been awesome. Micah Nori's another one who's kind of been floating
Yeah,
around. I mean, he knows the
yeah.
team, he knows the culture. Did a good job when Finch was out with the knee thing last year. Hilarious scenario, but he did a good job manning everything without Finch. Um, yeah, man, it's interesting. It's interesting. I also think I I don't think the decision is that important either because
Yeah,
whoever you get, as long as they agree with the GM about what the team's going to look like, you'll be fine. And I think that's the biggest thing the Crockies are looking for. In terms of GM, then I have
exactly.
no
I
freaking
know,
clue.
right? Yeah,
Bob Myers is the name I keep seeing floating around. No rumors or anything, but that's just the guy. I mean, the only other guy with experience. He left the Warriors because of I don't know why. Uh, he's always giving praise to Jokic and stuff, and I feel like he would really know how to build it. He knows how to build championship teams. That's for sure. Tommy, how do you say his name? Balcetis, the second in command
I
under Booth wouldn't be a
yeah,
bad one.
right, right.
Uh, We'll see, man. We'll see. It'll be an interesting off season. We'll see who the Nuggets play round one. Hopefully, we can do something next week before the playoffs get going. Do some
Yep.
predictions, see what happens with Denver. Preview a series, but yeah. Unless you got anything else, that's all from me.
I think that's it. I'm working the next 6 days, but
Oh, shoot.
yeah, I think what do you know what day the playoff starts? Like what day?
I think next Friday or Saturday
Okay, well that's perfect then. I'll be
or
off.
Thursday, one of those
Um,
days. I don't know.
I'll be
I
off
know
then.
the play-in is Tuesday. It starts Tuesday, but
Okay.
that's it.
We can do a podcast like Friday or something like that. Or
Yeah.
Saturday. You're off on the weekends?
Yeah, I'm off on the weekends.
It sounds good to me.
All right. We'll see if we can do something Saturday.
All
But
right.
yeah, it's gonna be it. Thanks for watching. See y'all in the next one. Peace.
See ya.